What do you got?
For the Wildcat kind of disappeared this year a little bit. You've used it a little bit, but is there something that Mark Tyler did specifically where you felt more comfortable with him doing that?
Well, Mark did have really good ball skills. The Wildcat player needs to have good ball skills and football awareness because the motion's coming in front of him, timing things up. It is something that we had done more in preseason with Silas, but he'd been banged up at times throughout the year, and so we really hadn't gone to it. We did a little bit with Marquise. So it's just as much. It's almost as important to have it on film as it is to continue doing it. Because obviously people prepare for it every week.
Is it still Hope So on Silas? Is that his stats?
Still what?
Is it still Hope So?
Yes, hope so.
With the young fullbacks and pass blocking, is there something that you can do to kind of compensate for that if they're not performing to the level you want them to?
Yeah, you can use your tailbacks to help, but then you don't get your checkdowns out. And, both our fullbacks obviously are freshmen and have struggled at times, but they're also coming along really well, and both are going to be good players here eventually.
What haven't you seen out of Soma, or what didn't you see last week that you wanted to see out of him?
Well, I think first off, before last week, the drops were critical drops that he had in a very tight game, and he's missed some block stuff, but he's a freshman. He's playing great on special teams. We got to get him to play on offense like he does on special teams. He plays really fast on special teams because he's a very talented player. We just got to get him. Fullback's not an easy position. Guys play tailback in high school and they come in and things move in front of them, and so we got to keep getting better.
Talk about how well Josh Shaw was doing in corner. Is there a concern because you lose so many safeties next year that it's going to stunt his progress at safety?
No, we got to do the best thing for us right now, and that's playing him at corner. And when the spring comes, next fall we'll figure it out. I have no idea right now. Whether he'll stay there or not.
Hayes was a part of your first recruiting class here. People from his high school kind of traditionally go to UCLA. He kind of broke the norm, so to speak. What do you remember about that process?
Just that, we were in the recruiting process. We just gotten here, and we're just trying to catch up and, just develop a good relationship with his mom. Mom has done a great job raising him, especially over the last couple of years after a tragedy in the family. And it really didn't have to do with what school he was at. There were two really good players there, and both of them were coming here for a while.
Was that something that you took into consideration or thought about at all, knowing that UCLA kind of had those ties with Crenshaw?
No, not really. We go on the evaluation of players, and then the three guys in 2 years, that we recruited there, felt we're all good players, and all three of them are starting in our conference.
Lane, if your crystal ball is working perfectly, do you perceive this game to be more of a shootout or more similar to last week's game?
Yeah, I have no idea. I never know that. You think as a head coach, you know that going into games, and a lot of times it goes the other way. You just don't know how the games are going to go, how quarterbacks are going to play, how the rush matchups are going to work. So I got no idea.
Do you have a preference?
No, I prefer to win whatever number that is.
As far as recruiting goes, how much of an effect on recruiting does this game have in the LA area?
I don't think it has a major impact. We always get asked that every year. I think it just goes into the whatever that formula is of a kid making a decision. It's just a small thing in there. There's so many other things that one game doesn't matter. Just like when teams are having a rough season or teams are having a great season, they don't all of a sudden sign all the players because you're winning all the games, or the other way around. A lot of times when teams struggle, kids see, you would assume kids go to the teams, that are always ranked at the top. It doesn't always happen because sometimes when teams are struggling, kids see, well, I can go there and play earlier. They have more of a need for me.
Lane, with UCLA obviously turning things around, how much more does this game mean when it has national attention? Obviously once had and kind of commanded attention across the nation.
Yeah, I think it's great for it to be where it's at. To be playing for the conference championship. The South Championship, and both teams nationally ranked, and it's the way it should be. And I would think it's going to be that way for a long time.
One of the things we hear you say pretty often is, after every week, it's about looking inward. It's about what we're doing. That's obviously something that came from Coach Carroll beforehand. Do you adopt that to the extent of focusing? I mean, he was very much focusing inward more so than outward at times. Do you do that to the same extent, or you kind of integrate your own way of viewing that philosophy?
No, we do that. We just believe that, when you focus too much on the game itself or the stadium you're playing in or where teams are ranked or who the opponent is the next week, it has nothing to do with, doing really well today in 7-on-7 or in team run or in one-on-ones. So we just always try to keep our guys focused on the day that we're on and the period that we're in.
How much of a challenge does that become in a game like this where so many guys are playing people they know across the time?
And this is always the most challenging game in our schedule because of that, because of all the relationships. The families knowing each other and the kids knowing each other. So this is always the hardest week, a lot harder than next week.
Does that also work a beneficial way because they kind of bring themselves to a place where you kind of want them to be, where you don't have to do that?
Well, I think that the one benefit would be I don't think you ever have to worry about either team being excited for the game, the players being motivated and coming out flat. I think that's never the case.
A big focus on slowing down Jonathan Franklin, obviously.
Yeah, he's the key. That once you stop him, you make a quarterback playing a pass game as a freshman. So we've got to do a great job wrapping him up and tackling him because he makes a lot of yards after drop.
For this team and the expectations that you had obviously coming in, how much does a win Saturday, sort of set things right, so to speak?
Well, I don't know that it does. We'll still have more losses than we would have thought, or where our expectations were, but you can't go back and control the past. It's over with. And football's in a very emotional sport, and every week changes. And just like the fan, when you win, you did everything right. When you lose, you didn't. That's how it is. So a win versus a crosstown rivalry always is a good thing for an entire program.
Is there redemption value that has kind of taken over the season because of those losses, especially pointing to this game? I have an opportunity to still be able to make some Rose Bowl.
Well, I think we're fortunate, to have the conference losses that we do and still be able to be in this hunt. We're fortunate to be in the South.